All right, guys. We're not gonna start yet. I'm just gonna take a quick break, and then we should be ready to go. I'm already gonna talk a little bit to see if the microphone is all right and to see if it's working perfectly. I'm also gonna add Mr. Indigo here, as he's gonna be our co-commentator for tonight. I'm just gonna add him to see if it is all working. Let's hope it's gonna work. Mr. Indigo, welcome.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, everything all right. Well, I mean, this doesn't matter too much. Just talk a little bit because this is the intro, and I'm gonna clip that out later. So
Oh,
yeah,
so we're not streaming right now.
yeah. I mean, we are streaming, but it's starting soon, so it doesn't matter that much. We're gonna do an intro later on, so that
That's
just so yeah, just so I can test the audio and see how it is. So guys, I will be back in a second, and I mean, we're ready to go. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to, once again, another live stream here on the Speed Force Racing YouTube channel. My name is Phoebe Thomas, and today I am accompanied by Mr. Indigo, as he's going to be our co-commentator tonight. Welcome, Indigo. How are you?
Very good, thank you, mate. Nice to be here for the first time in Division 3, as I'm usually the main commentator Div 2 and Div 1, but I can step back and let you control the stream. But yeah, 80-minute qualifying session around here in Spain and a 33-lap race. It is quite a difficult track, especially with the technical turns, but it has been modified over the recent years, especially down at turn 10 and the last sector as well. So it should be easy for the drivers. It was a tire killer track, sorry, but it's been modified. And the final two, I think it's final two corners are now flat out, as we take it back to you, Thomas.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, you're Div 1 and Div 2 main commentator. It's going to be a little change here streaming in Division 3 today. What are you hoping to see from the guys in Division 3 tonight?
Some good racing. I noticed that a lot of people picked up penalties in the Canadian Grand Prix, but that is quite usual because it's often a common thing around Canada. It's very difficult. It's already Div 1 and Div 2 as well. Here in Spain, it is a bit difficult with track limits at turn 2, can catch people out as well, and down at turn 5 on the exit, because you want to run out wide, but at the same time, make sure you keep at least one wheel within the white lines. But I'm expecting to see some good racing. I have seen some good racing when I've tuned into Div 3 before, but yeah, yeah, I think we've seen Silver Fox on a flying lap coming through turn 9. This should be flat out, although he did have a slight lift off. The evolution of these cars gets faster and faster, and you can go flat out in these modern Formula 1 day cars. It's makes its way through the loop in round 10, as it used to be a slow speed corner. It can overtake there, but it's quite difficult to do so because at the exit of turn 9 you have the DRS, but not have a lot of straight to try and overtake. We have seen some moves down there before in the past as well, as Silver Fox is about to make his way towards the line to set the benchmark.
And I'm really surprised to see how the guys are going to adapt to that little chicane that's been deleted in Sector 3, because I think it was even the season, not the last season, but the season before, where it was, of course, a chicane in here around Spain. Now, that's going to affect a lot of drivers, because you might be able to put a little less downforce on the car, and that's going to make you faster through the straights. Now, with that chicane, you do need a little bit more downforce for your car to be able to slide through the corners here. Now, how is that going to affect drivers like, for example, Burley, Mitrandir, who are racing in that Haas car? We're obviously racing in equal performance cars, but they usually try to run a little bit more downforce. Are they going to be affected by that here in the straight in Spain? Because obviously only 2 opportunities to use the DRS, if I'm not mistaken, right now on board with Silver Fox here, coming out of turn 9, and then of course coming out of the last corner you've got that straight as well. So 2 DRS opportunities. How are you looking at that here during the race?
Well, if it was me, I've always run a bit more downforce around this circuit to suit my driving style, because I cannot finesse the car. I cannot control the rear lock into the brakes as Mr. Wiggles goes into first place with a 30.2. He's on good progress so far. 2 wins and 4 podiums this season, but I ideally like to run a lot of downforce because, yes, the straight line speed can help you. It can save battery as well, but obviously you've got different ERS modes to play with to try and save your battery, and also more straight line speed. And less downforce means more tyre wear as well, because you have to really attack the car into the corners with the lack of downforce it has. So, and turbulent air, and we'll see how the drivers adapt to it, because I know it can be very frustrating running in those DRS trains. The most occurring theme around here in the F1 game with the DRS trains, you want to qualify as high up as you can and try and see what happens going down into the first few corners. But if you're running less downforce, it means you've got more straight line speed and more chances to overtake your car ahead of you and try and jump that queue in the DRS train. But for someone like myself who can't really control the car in the high-speed corners properly without sliding to the corner or losing traction on the exits as well. So may slap a bit more downforce on and see what happens. Get faster in the corner to try and build an advantage before you get on the straights. What about you, Thomas?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, experience-wise, I feel like Spain races are always really good. Like, the drivers are really sensible drivers here on a track like Spain. Very narrow corners, not a lot of room, and that doesn't give many drivers the opportunity to really go for a move, if that makes sense. So you don't really crash each other out, which is also going to be a plus point here in Spain. So I'm really looking forward to this race. I assume we're going to do a little track evaluation on how the drivers take every corner and such here in the qualifying. So you might want to go on board with one of the drivers who is on a fast lap in later during this qualifying. As you mentioned, it's only going to be 18-minute qualifying tonight. It's not going to be Q2 and Q3. And then, of course, we've got that race. Any favorites for pole position in a race win tonight? Or do you think it's going to be different? Do you think it's going to be the same? Let me know.
Well, different characteristics as Doran goes quickest, the first driver in the 12.9s, but every single driver has their strengths and weaknesses at different tracks. For example, you can see the usual contenders always up there first and second, but in a one-odd race or two, maybe more, they could drop backwards. So we'll see who has the preference around this track as Prep 1 goes into P3 in the Kick Sauber. Kick Sauber need them boys. However, to come back to your question, I did see somebody retire on the track. It was a Ferrari car of Ellie. I think she crashed her car heading into the pit lane or spun in the final corner. I did see it on the full map, so unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, she has disappeared in the qualified session, and she usually has been up there in the contenders for the podiums and almost the win. I remember back in Saudi Arabia where she was going for the win, but unfortunately got beaten there. And back to your question on pole position, I think it's going to be a tricky one, because I could say this driver, but it's the most common people, they say like Pabelli, the one who's really in the championship, has always had good form. But I noticed in recent qualifying events he hasn't been particularly strong. I know he finished second at the Canadian Grand Prix, but in the last few Grand Prix, he's had a bit of a downer, like Azerbaijan and Monaco as well. Although he might get on the way in a Sauber there. Is that Preb 1 going through? It's not Preb 1, I think it's his Norwegian compatriot of Harbour. But yeah, I think Preb 1 is on my list. Apologies to anybody else I'm not saying, but it's just down to the base results I'm seeing on the paper. But here comes Harbour coming towards the final two corners as he makes his way now towards the line. He crosses the line with a 13.5. But yeah, Thomas, I will find you somebody that I'll take you through a lot with, because I usually do that in every single qualifying session.
Lovely to hear that, mate. Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you there. Burley hasn't been on a great streak during the qualifyings lately. If I'm not mistaken, he got a P6 in Monaco, which is usually the track with a lot of downforce. A bit the same as Spain. Not necessarily the same track, but you got similarities in both of the tracks. So we might be looking at Burley not being able to grab pole here. I'm gonna have to give my opinion there as well. I think it's gonna go to Mr. Wiggles again. He has been phenomenal in qualifying lately. Last week he got a pole as well. I think he's gonna do the same here tonight. Only needs 2 tenths to be able to beat Dorn here in Q1, and I mean it's the only qualifying session we're gonna have. But I mean, as you said, Ellie crashing out. P9 is not the best performance. Last week we saw a really good performance from her in the qualifying. Menzel in the chat as well. He is in for engineering duty for the Ferrari girls, so that's going to be a little valuable asset to the Ferrari team there. Hopefully not any Ferrari strategies that we're going to see here tonight. But on the other hand, that pit entry is a tricky one, because I don't know if it's been fixed already, but you had that little bump entering the pit lane, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Now you've said it, I remember the Japanese Grand Prix as well, the final two corners of the X50 Tribal Chicane. There was a little bit of bump before heading on the straight. But yeah, the Spanish Grand Prix, there was a bit of bump going into the pit lane, and I've experienced crashing there myself before. It's a tight pit lane entry. You got to be really careful as well, especially on older tyres. It can catch a lot of people out, especially David Coulthard, I think, back at the 1999 Australian Grand Prix. I'm going to go for that. That's just off pure memory. Was it David Coulthard? It could have been somebody else, I'm not quite sure. But it was somebody who crashed in that pit lane at the Australia Grand Prix. I've not really seen many people do it here in Spain, although I've seen like a few people spin in the penultimate corner. That's because of that chicane, which is now missing. Jerry Oil class crosses the line to go into P16. The former Div 1 driver himself is still developing and still learning, and it's nice to see him still here, because I know it can be such a long, steep curve of trying to get up there, because I know it can be really difficult to find motivation when you're always at the bottom. No offense to him, of course, but it's nice to see him still racing. Mitchell is making his way towards the line in the RB as he crosses the line to go into P9 with a 30.7 then. So nobody seems to beat in Doran's time. And talking about a Haasman on the lap, we're going through turn 3 now, so as we will head down towards turn 4, braking just before the 50-meter board. You want to kiss the apex to bring it out wide, but he did miss the apex a little bit as he used a bit of overtake. Bring it over to the right side to set yourself up, breaking the 50-meter board, run out wide on the exit, but this doesn't really do that, as you want to maximize all the track as we go towards turn 7, turn 8. It can be really difficult. You want to use the curve on the exit, but stay off that sausage curve because it will throw you off board. Now we're headed through turn 9. It's flat out left-hander in turn in gear 6 as we head down towards turn 10, braking after the 100-meter board. Slow the car down and run it out wide on the exit, but there is a car in front of us, the Aston Martin, and this is like turn 4 or turn 5 at Hungary. This right-hander, you want to stay off that curb because otherwise it throws the barriers, as Lord Stroll in 2018 when he crashed there in qualified. Here we are towards final two corners. It should be flat out. DRS enabled for the Haas as he goes quickest with a 12.9. That's a nice lap time there. And yeah, the reason why I said the Haas man is because I can't pronounce his name, so you have to help me there, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't understand the name, so I was actually looking at Origilas because you were saying like corner this and corner that, and I thought you were mistaken with the corners. And I was looking at him, and then you said, "Oh yeah, he's going down the straight." And Origilas was in sector 3. I was like, "Yeah, this doesn't make sense. Let's try to find who is behind." As Burley now puts himself on pole position with a 112.7, a great lap by the Haas driver, and I think you got me there. I think you got pole time right. But, I mean, we gotta wait for Mr. Wiggles. He's still in pit lane. But, let's see who's gonna be in the right here between us two.
I know that Smoke, the Div 2 driver who got dropped into Div 2 from Div 1, he did a 13.6, he said last night. I know he's sandbagging, he's definitely sandbagging. It's a 12.6 or 30.6, he said. But the times are definitely tumbling down now. I remember the times where we used to get to the 10s, I think, in the older games. But these cars are just a little bit slower, although more grippier. But there's a lot of mixed opinions about this game because some people can really chuck the car in and use the engine brake as well to rotate the car, slide the back end through the car, because sometimes it can be a little bit quicker of drifting into corners. I've seen a lot of people drifting through like slow speed corners to get the best entry and best rotation. But Matt G has a bit of a moment going out of turn number 12, I think it was, but he's on his in lap anyway, so he won't affect his lap time much. But there is 5 minutes left in this session, and I don't think we've got many people out there on a flying lap then.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the 110s on the earlier games. I'm going to tell you a little secret here. On F121, I was able to put 19s in. I actually was in a little semi-professional esports team, and I was pretty decent. I was top 100 on the Spain track, like 19s. I was pretty good, and then they messed up the games with the 22, the 23, and the 24, and I just decided I won't be doing any racing anymore. I'm switching to commentary, and that's why I'm still here in SFR, so yeah. A little disappointing that the games are like this, especially F124. I've heard a lot of bad things about it. I don't know if you race yourself, Indigo.
Oh yeah, I've been a league racer. I've been champion of PSGL before, but that's obviously Division 7 or Tier 7, sorry. This is Div, we call it Div here. All the people have got their different names and preferences, but I have been a champion before of racing, and I used to race a lot, and I was a racer before I became a commentator. I predominantly started commentating more in 2022 because I reached the end of my peak at the 21 game. I was very quick in 2019 to 2021, but unfortunately I dropped off at 22 and started commentating more as I got demotivated. Now I only race once a week on a Sunday, and I do a lot of commentary, especially for SFR, as I do Div 2 and Div 3. But Havlar has a bit of a moment out of, I think, his turn number 12 there. He had a bit of oversteer. He is up in the middle sector as he makes his way towards final corner, running a number 93, which is my number. Here he is across the line. It's P7, or stays in P7. He was 2 tenths up, or 3 tenths up in the middle sector, but he lost it due to that little bit of oversteer as he got the throw a bit too early. However, Mr. Wiggles behind him goes into P2 with a 12.8. So it was Pabelli who's still on pole ahead of Mr. Wiggles, who splits both asses, and with somebody else across the line. I think it was Billy G in the Red Bull who goes into P8. Pabelli's already retired there, Thomas, indicating he's happy with his lap time, doesn't feel the need to go out there, or he sacrificed a set of sauce ready for the race just in case of a safety car.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you there. I don't think Mr. Wiggles is really going to be able to get back into the pits and come out for another one. Doran now putting himself in P2 to 112.7. And I think Burley is safe here. I'm not going to make any... how do you say that? It doesn't matter too much. But I think Mitrandir might be the only one who's going to be able to compete with Burley here. Matt G and P5 already invalidated, as you might want to say something there.
Yeah, so Simo was going for a lap time, but unfortunately made a big mistake at turn 2. She just went out wide and picked up a bit of gravel and invalidated.
Damn, John Moe's putting himself in P7. This might be the first top 10 position for the McLaren driver. He's been really trying to push forward here in qualifyings, and I think he's able to find the pace here around Spain, putting himself in P7 with a 113.3. Not too far from Prep, but he finds himself in a difficult Kick Sauber sandwich right now, which is... not going to be ideal. We saw the Kick Sauber sandwich last race in Canada as well. Things didn't end up very well. We saw a lot of penalties as well in Canada, so hopefully things are not going to repeat themselves. But obviously that's later for the race, of course.
We've got Mitrandia going through the end of the sector. He's currently a few hundreds up in the house, but he is running low on battery. But he spins out of turn 10, and unfortunately his lap time's been ruined. And he is running on 2-lap old soft compound tyres, doing consecutive lap times, by the way. So you really need to have a push, cool down push. If you're going to do that, you can't do consecutive lap times because the tyres will just overheat dramatically. As here comes Mr. Wiggles then towards the end of the sector. He's currently a 10th up, so he's the one to keep an eye out. Can trouble Pabelli's lap time. time. He's opted to retire early in the qualifying session, and that could compromise him. So let's see if Mr. Wiggles can improve. He is running on 2-lap old soft powered tyres. This is his third lap, and let's see, can he keep it nice and hooked up coming towards the final two corners now with the DRS open as he crosses the line and he doesn't take pole. There is 3 drivers on a 12.7. That's how close it is in this qualifying session. The Kick Saubers giving each other a tow as Havlar goes into P6 ahead of Prep 1. Prep 1's right behind. I believe he's picking up a tow off his teammates. So nice work there for those two.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated with Mr. Wiggles there. Not necessarily with Mr. Wiggles, but maybe with the tires that they didn't hold up in Sector 3 there, because we did see that he was up by 1.3 tenths there coming into Sector 3, and the tires just gave up in Sector 3, which is quite unfortunate. Prep going onto the curb there has to watch out. Well, not necessarily on the curb, but on the grass. Almost lost the car. I think he's going to go for one right now. The Alpine car on the inside. Prep is on a fast one entering turn 8 and 9. A little snap coming in turn 8. Down the straight he goes. No, this is turn 9. That was actually turn 7 I was talking about. Here he goes down the straight. The air is wide open for the Kicksauber driver. What time will it be coming into Sector 3? And he's not up in his time. 2.7 tenths down. But let's see if he's going to be able to gain a little bit more time here in Sector 3. Onto the curb. Oh, he loses the car, and this won't be an invalidation for Prep, I'm afraid. Mitchell, the only one still on track. Not up in his time either. 5 tenths down. 8 tenths down now, entering Sector 3. Then we've got Origulas, who is not up in his time either, but maybe coming into Sector 3 he might be. The air is wide open for the Williams driver. And what time will it be? Not up in his time. 8 seconds down even. And that will be qualifying over. Congratulations to your prediction. I gotta be honest with you there, Burley, who got a pull.
Did you say Oreo Glass has crossed the line? Is that what you said?
No, but
he's
like 8.
Oh, about
he was 8 yeah, he was 8 seconds down, so.
I thought he was out of sync for me, but yeah, Probelli's on pole then, and just on pole. That early prediction to go in the pit lane and retire after watching his competitors improve, and he's safe so far. So Doman in P2, 400 separating first and second. Further back, it's 800s there with 210s adrift from Meandia in P2 and Maggi. Another good qualifying there for Maggi, and also he's joining me for tomorrow on commentary as well. So it's going to have the pleasure to be with him for the first time as well on com. Same with you, Thomas. So we'll see how this race goes, and we're waiting for the people in the pit lane to retire. Then we can get on with this 33-lap race. It's going to be very close on the top of the field. And last week's race win, I believe, was Chris Big Pro, but on the standings, according to the standings, he lost the win, and it belonged to Probelli. So he's the one that got the win, and it's 5 wins towards him, and he extended his championship lead over the V car. But over to you to read the results while I go to the toilet.
Here we go, the qualifying results for the short qualifying in Spain. P1 goes to Burley, P2 goes to Dorn and Mr. Wiggles once again with a podium here in the qualifying. Further, we've got Mitrandir, Maggi, Halvor, Prep, Mopes, Billy G and Silver Fox in the top 10. And then we've got Mitchell, Ellie, Simo, Sofanico, Origulas, Cowboy, Stank and Big Pro in the top 18. Only 18 drivers, not necessarily only, but we get 18 drivers here tonight. Both the Mercedes drivers didn't put a qualifying on the board here tonight, so that is quite interesting. Might have a qualifying ban. I couldn't tell you for sure, as I didn't look at the penalty results. But we're gonna prepare ourselves for this race start. I'm quickly gonna grab some water, just so you guys know that I'm not gonna be talking. Neither is Indigo, because he's to the toilet real quick. So we're gonna take a little break here of about 30 seconds, and then we're gonna be back with you again to discuss the tire strategies. Hello there, guys. We're back at it again. Mr. Indigo, well, went to the toilet. I went to grab my water. And we're ready to go for it again. 32 lap race, as you mentioned before, Indigo. What are your expectations for the race? Are we going to see a lot of crashes, a lot of penalties, a lot of strategy-wise? Let's talk about the strategy first, because that's the first thing we're going to be able to look at.
Well, on the screen there, we can see that mixture of people have gone for the hards and the medium compound tires. That's the usual strategy in this game, but Cowboy in 16th place has decided to go for the softer strategy and go for pure pace at the start of the race. So let's see if it pays out for him. He's got to really capitalize on them soft compound tires. Can't afford to be lurking around in the midfield because they'll die off very quickly. But hards to mediums, as you expect, but it's just a case of which strategy is the best strategy, because sometimes the mediums hards do work, but it all depends when that safety car comes out, or if the safety car comes out, because that can really change the trajectory of the race and upset people's strategies and put other people in advantages or disadvantages. But for those medium runners, the hard compound tires can be a good tire towards them, because the mediums do, when they die, they lose grip dramatically. Like the hard compound tires, they can last forever around any track. They're a good durable tire, and they don't suffer as much when they wear out like the medium compound tires. So we'll see. How's the Haasman in P4, Petrandia in P4? Can he keep up with those medium runners? He's got medium runners all over around him, including his own teammate Pabelli. So both Hassers, both Saubers have split the strategy, and what could other people do as well? What about Chris Big Pro? He's got some decent pace in P18. I presume he had a qualifying ban for whatever reason. He did win the Canadian Grand Prix last week, but it got handed over to Pabelli, who's up there in P1 right now. But yeah, it's all 18 drivers line up on the grid. I'll hand it back over to you. What are you expecting here today, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do think I'm gonna see a crash in the top three in the first couple of laps, just because they're all on medium tires. They all have the same similar pace, and usually we do tend to see the guys being a little impatient in the first couple of laps, and that's where we're gonna see a crash. Probably. I'm also liking the strategy with Cowboy there. All the guys in front of him are on the hard tires, so he most likely is going to get a good start of the line here. Everyone is lining up. The engines are roaring for the Spain Grand Prix. We're currently in Season 16, round 16, if I'm not mistaken, here in Speed Force Racing. It's 5 red lights. And away we go! The Spain Grand Prix has started with a pretty decent start there by Burley. Although Mr. Wiggles already making the overtake on the Red Bull driver. Around the outside he goes. Will Dorn keep that position? Doesn't look like it. Mr. Wiggles around the outside. A little lock up there by Dorn heading into turn 1. Is Matt G going to benefit from that? No, Dorn this time around is making the overtake down the inside. Matt G might make an overtake. Oh, and the Kick Sauber driver goes a little bit wider there. That's Prep, who got back on track, is getting attacked from behind by Billy G, who's going down the inside already in a yellow flag virtual safety car. What has happened, Mr. Indigo?
I wasn't watching the back of the field. I was watching the two Saubers, but Matt G had an incredible start. He jumped the Haasman. The Haas on Mitrandia in P9 unfortunately lost a lot of place. He got bogged down the start, and he kept losing traction in the exit of turn 1 and turn 2. Same with the Sauber of Prep 1 there. He just went out too wide, like Roman Grosjean style, when he spun the car around and collected Hulkenberg and Pierre Gasly in the progress as well. So Prep 1 not capitalising on their medium compound tyres, like his teammate Havlor in P5. He's on the most durable hard compound tyres, and it's the highest hard of the 2 in P5. So that's worked in his favours. Can he keep up with the top 4? That's the main question, and the VSC has came out to slow things down. Savinico unfortunately picked up a penalty collision, I think, with Simo, so those two come to blows there, unfortunately. But Simo is already out of the race. We saw Ferrari crash in qualifying, and one of them has crashed in the race there. So not going well for Ferrari as the VSC has ended.
Mr. Wiggles already making a move down the line as he's up in P2 again. He couldn't wait to make that overtake before the corner was there. Just right up Dorn's ass there, made that overtake right as they came across the line. As right now we're seeing a little gap forming from P6 to P7, with Prep not being able to keep up with Billy G coming into Sector 1, already dropping out of that 1 second. Not necessarily 9/10 right now for the Kick Sauber driver, so you might be looking at Cowboy struggling. Look at that. John Mopes right behind his very own teammate. And now we got to see those team plays come into play, and I think that's what's happening. No, Cowboy is still keeping it in front of his very own teammate, but he's not able to keep up with Mitrandir there. Mitrandir, who lost 5 positions during the race, as he's now all the way in P9 with about 1.3 seconds behind Mitchell.
You can see that Havlar's really struggling there because he had a massive snap of oversteer the exit at turn 7 and turn 8. Billy G was able to get all of the wacky room. You can see the difference as Silver Fox has gone for a spin again. So turn 4, he spun, dropped himself into P17, he spun again. So he's not really liking this track here. But Chris, who had a qualifying ban from P18, is up into P11 and ahead of John Mobes in P12. So he's lost a few places at the start of the field there as he's on the hardcore power tyre. So expect that as Mr. Wiggles has set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. His aim is try and stay within DRS range. Billy G is all over the back of the Sauber. When he did make a move into turn 1, he can't quite make the move as the Sauber looking comfortable so far in P5 on the hardcore power tyre. So sticking with this train is important, but Billy G is switching lines there, trying to find a way to overtake him. He was so close in the high-speed corners, but just not close enough to try and make a move there. But he's definitely got more grip. You can see the difference in grip between the Sauber and the Red Bull. The Red Bull's able to get the throttle and have more pace to the corners as well. But it's such a difficult track. He's just waiting for Havlar to make a big mistake like he did. Here he is out of turn 5 as we head down towards turn 6 we go. And this has been a made a mistake last time. When he rectify himself, when he correct it, he does lose a bit of time towards the Williams, who pulls out a few tenths on him. He's 9 tenths back. Billy G surely has to make a move to make sure he's not out of the one important second range of DRS as Mr. Wiggles gets super close there. Super Belly, here comes the RB on the inside of the Sauber, but the Sauber Prep 1 closes the door in his face as he picks up a 3-second time penalty because he had a massive snap of oversteer there. That's when Bruno Senna crashed this thing back in 2012 in qualifying with Pastor Maldonado took pole. Actually, Lewis Hamilton took pole, but unfortunately for him, got disqualified.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, that hard tires gonna be good at the end of their stint, but at the beginning they're just gonna get beaten by that by that medium tire. Here comes Billy G down the inside in turn 1, makes up that overtake as Helver was trying to make a switch backward. Billy G who just kind of defended the inside line, no room for Helver, and that's what we mentioned before already. It's such a tight track. Nobody's able to make a move. You saw Billy G really stuck behind Helver for half a track. And right now it's gonna be roles reversed. Helvar is gonna be the one stuck behind Billy G, and I'm not even sure whether he's gonna be able to keep that toe from the Red Bull driver.
We've seen a few moves here in the midfield. So John Mose, I think he made a mistake at turn 3. He was right alongside his teammate until I think he got cut off by his teammate. And Sofinico, unfortunately, has gone off the track, allowed the Mercedes to stank through into 15th place. Ellie got past the Mercedes into turn 3, so she's made up a few places all over the back of the Williams of Oreo Glass, and the McLaren's really struggling as Oreo Glass there at the exit of turn 9 has now got Ellie under massive pressure going around the outside, later breaking from the Ferrari. They're still side by side there, but Ellie gets a decent exit now alongside off the track there as she gets put on the grass, loses the back in the car. The Mercedes and the Williams are through, and unfortunately she's lost a few places there as well. Also forgot to mention about turn 9. That's the most places where people crashed in the olden games. That's the main places where the safety car came out as well. So turn 9 can be a killer, and Prep 1 has cut the corner at turn 1. So I think that could be a warning heading his way as he's already got a penalty there. Look at this, changes in the midfield everywhere we go. Sonifico on the inside and the Ferrari pushes Ellie off the track there at the exit of turn 1. Unfortunately, after a good progress, is now down into P16, getting barged left, right and centre from these aggressive drivers in the lower end of the field there. So really fighting hard has cost Ellie, but I think Sofinico has let her through, which she has, or he has, sorry. So she's back up into P15 as Mitchell is right at the back of the struggling Sauber on the hardcore power tyres. But the Sauber should be patient. The hardcore power tyres will come back in later once these mediums start ticking down the clock.
Yeah, and I suggest we look at the ERS level from the top 3 right now, because Mr. Wiggles has taken the lead of the race so far, but does that mean he's got the best ERS level? It doesn't look like it. Doran, who's got 80% right now, he's probably going to use a little bit down the straight to not lose that toe off Burley. Burley has got about 90%, and you've got Mr. Wiggles struggling with the 50%. He's even using more down the straight. He's not going to have the DRS, and he's draining everything down the straight. This is not a good strategy by Mr. Wiggles, keeping the lead of the race, although you do have to mention that the tires of Mr. Wiggles will be better at the end of their stint because he's not running in the dirty air, which Burley and Doran are doing right now. They are saving a little bit of ERS as Maggi is trying to get back to that top 3. 1.3 seconds right now as Billy G is in P5, trying to bring Halvor, Mitchell, and Prep with him to the top 4 there. And then, of course, you've got a little battle here between Origula Stank and John Mopes. You do have to mention that I feel like Chris Big Pro had a little bit of a better start than Stank while they're both on the same tires. You can see Stank went all the way from P17 to P13, and Chris Big Pro went from P18 to P10, if I am not mistaken, or were their roles reversed? Let me just double check. No, it was indeed like that. Penalty-wise, we're looking at 3 seconds for Prep, as Stank now makes the overtake because of a mistake by Aurigulas, and then of course we've got that 10-second time penalty off Sofanico at the back of the grid.
Yeah, Diamaggi is trying everything he can to get himself back in the DRS, and Sofanico unfortunately has gone for a spin at the exit turn. And has she lost her wing? I don't think she has, so she can get going once again. But here comes Probelli now taking the lead back away from Mr. Wiggles as those two swap places. Billy G is pressurizing Maggi. Got confused between those two there, but Billy G is now up into P4 ahead of Maggi. Can Maggi fight back? They are fighting to get back in the DRS, so it'll be unwise for those two to continue fighting, considering the top three are pulling away, but they're in a bit of a scrap themselves. But the Sauber of Havlar now looking interested on the inside. He was struggling, especially in the early stages when the car kept swerving around, and now he's putting massive pressure there on the media winner of Maggi. But now Billy G is up into P4. Can he try and bring the gap down to under a second? Yes, there's two DRS zones around here, but the high-speed corners and slow-speed corners, and with those top three running a dirty air of each other as Eddie gets past Cowboy Boy, with the top three running a dirty air as we've got a Silver Fox who's going for a spin at the exit turn. So unfortunately for him, he's really struggling there on the hard compound tyres. Started P10, but in the race is going down for him. So yeah, the top three in dirty of each other. Mr. Billy G could try and bring the gap down as much as he can, but he'll lose it on the straight with the top three having the DRS on each other there. But I think Doran now is looking for a move on Mr. Wiggles there, because 9/10 is the gap between Probelli and Mr. Wiggles. So I think Doran could find himself up into P2, but although Mr. Wiggles is using a bit of DRS, using a bit of battery there to get himself closer and closer to Probelli. I think Probelli tried to push as hard as he can at the exit of the final two corners, as now Havlar looks like he's going for a move, and no, he's a bit too far back there. The graphic said a 10th, so I literally thought he was all over the back of him, but he dropped a few places back, so I don't think he went for a move. I think he backed out of it just in case it was collision. Jerry Oilglass is ahead of Stank, and he puts himself up into P11 in the Williams, just outside the top 10. So we've got plenty of battles going on here, but Billy G and the second pack of this DRS train keep losing time.
I'm going to be honest with you there. I think the Red Bulls are playing a strategy here where Billy G is going to hold up the rest of the guys behind him just so that the top three have a little bit of a gap. I don't feel like Billy G should really put any pressure on his very own shoulders to bring the guys behind him back to the top three, because that would even be a bigger chance of Doran not winning the race, if you get what I mean there. I mean, right now it's a battle between three. If it were Billy G, Maggi, Halvor, Mitchell, and Prep entering that top three, we would have a 1 out of 8 chance. So I think this is a little bit of a Red Bull team play there from Billy G and Doran, as we're looking at Maggi possibly having the DRS and a good exit coming out of the last corner. Let's see if he's going to make that DRS work. Seems like he does, into the slipstream. Around the outside he goes back into P4, as right now Billy G is going to make it as difficult as possible for the Williams driver, but Maggi has got a lot of experience in his what do you say that in the back. So yeah, hopefully he's going to be able to get back to that top three. It's not looking like it. 2.4 seconds. So you might want to go on board with the midfield here. Prep on the tail of Mitchell. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to make a move. Stank right now entering sector 1 as he's going onto the curb a little bit too much. Possibly lost a bit of time there on Aurigulas. You do got to give the props to Aurigulas there. Gained about 4 positions, and he's got one of the faster guys here on the field right behind him who's able to keep behind him. So looking good for the Williams driver there as well, as Mitchell has gained 4 positions already in this race. Billy G as well. And then we've got our biggest winner, Chris Big Pro, who's trying to get back into that top 8. 9 positions gained all the way from P18, and we might be looking, if he's lucky, at a last to first challenge from the Mercedes driver, but in that case he's got to have a lot of luck here in the Spain Grand Prix.
Yeah, safety car might need to come to his aid there down in P9, because it was difficult to close the gap back down. He's already 4.2 seconds away from his nearest competitor in P8, who's got another 3-second time penalty. Look at Doran now. He's all at the back of the RP driver. Will he make a move? No, because Mr. Wiggles there used the DRS and used a bit of battery to protect himself. He wants to stay in second place. He wants to have the chance of attacking Probelli. He does not want to be third in this DRS train, because first and second will be decided. But Havlar's getting so close towards the back of the Red Bull, but can't find a way past now. I think these hard compound tires, the other Sauber Prep 1 gets a decent launch. Here we are down into turn 4, the Sauber versus the RB, but Prep 1 gets a massive snap. You can see that Prep 1 is really struggling with the rear end of the car. What's he doing wrong? Is there like a downforce he's having? Is it because he's getting the way too early? Can the car not manage it? So Prep 1 there really has to change his driving style because it's just not working out for him so far. As you can see, Mr. Wiggles is getting so close to the back of Propelli. There's the second battle in that DRS train there. Mad G being so frustrated, he can't find himself in that DRS train. He's the one that broke it up because he was up into P4 at the end of lap 1 when he overtook the Haasman in P10, and he wasn't able to stick in the DRS, but he's trying to, but Billy G keeps pressurizing him and making sure he doesn't get himself under 1 second there to put his team under pressure.
Yeah, and I feel like it's already a little bit tire-wise that's playing into the effect of Mr. Prep there. We've got a 3 wide going into turn 1. Who's going to make it out ahead? It seems like it's Halvor. He's got the inside line. The Red Bull driver now will have the inside line in turn 2. Takes a little bit too much curb as Halvor gets into P4. Right now, Matt G is trying to pressure the Red Bull driver, and a little snap there from Billy G. Now it's Mitchell down the inside, and look at that. Billy G dropped all the way to P7. A little battle there between the Williams and the V-Carb driver as Billy G is going to shove it down the inside again here in turn 5. And is he going to make it out ahead? It seems like Mitchell had a little better exit. Has the inside line. No, the outside line. And that will not be beneficial because he's got a curb on the exit. And he cannot take that line how he wants it, how he wants to take it. Billy G in B5.
Wow, what a battle there. I think the Sauber was in the midst. Oh, the RB goes out wide at turn 10. And now this will give another chance for Mad G to get past, which he does. He puts himself into P6 there. But what a battle. The hard runner in P4 really needed that now to dispatch the medium compound tire runners and now try and pull away from the rest of them. The other Sauber there, the Red Bull, Billy G comes into the pit lane. So he's had enough of those medium compound tires now. Switching over to the hards. But Doran is all at the back of the Alpine, but can't find a way through once again. He's managing his EOS in P3. They got more in comparison to the Alpine there, who's defending for all his life against the Red Bull driver as we head down towards turn 1 between these midfielders. But what a battle that was. Drivers constantly changing positions there. I had no idea because it looked like the Sauber was about to get swamped on that straight. Oh, there's a problem for Mitchell out of turn 4. He's allowed a Prep 1 through. You don't really see a lot of mistakes going into turn 3 because usually it's a flat out corner, but some people I've noticed really do struggle. I noticed a lot of these people use too much steering pull or drift out too wide there, and they lose the grip on the exit of the corner as well. So hence why they're struggling. Ellie has got past Stiang. A great recovery drive from her after being barged around left, right, and centre. Looks like she's calmed down now. Well, it wasn't really her fault anyways, but looks like she's found her rhythm and momentum again and gets going. She was the one that crashed in the pit lane entry, and unfortunately her teammate Simo has crashed to the opening lap of this race. So what's one for all gone, but Ellie can make up the ground, although she gets the 3-second time penalty. Here comes the Mercedes on the inside. We don't see moves there. They're the track, and once again Ellie suffering from her mistakes there at the exit of turn 9.
Yeah, and I really thought Ellie was going to get that one, especially because she's on the hard tires, and those are a little bit better at this point during the race. But after seeing that 3-second time penalty, she was just going to get eaten up by Mr. Stiang there. Very unfortunate incident as well. They touched coming into turn 9, and I feel like I feel like Ellie should have backed out there because she didn't have her car alongside the Mercedes driver anymore, or like a tiny bit, but not sufficient enough. Ellie, who's still in P10, she's had a good recovery race, as you mentioned before, and these are some necessary points for the Ferrari team, especially with Simo, who's not going to be scoring any points. But let's focus on the top 3 again. Who's going to come into the pits first? Because that's going to be a very important thing as well. You're going to make the undercut. You're going to be faster in that out lap where you're going to come out of the pit lane with that fresher set of tires. And you're going to have the track advantage as well. But do you want the track advantage if your tires are going to be slower at the end of the race? That's for the guys to decide. I feel like the hard tires are really good at the end of the race. They're not really that bad if they're worn out. So I feel like coming into the pits earlier would be beneficial for one of these guys, although nobody is coming into the pits as they're all driving one more lap here, heading into lap 14.
top three remaining as they are, as I think Mr. Wiggles acknowledges that Doran's right behind him and pulls the left-hand side or right-hand side on my screen, but Probelli is not phased by that one. We've got a few people pitting as Chris, Big Pro P7 has had enough of the medium compound tyres. He tried to make up as much ground as he can, but I think those mediums start to wear out there, so he thinks that the medium compound tyres are done. The hard compound tyres are necessary for him as the top three continue. It's the price you pay. Do you pit now, try and undercut the guys in front, and be vulnerable towards in the Grand Prix, being first in the DRS train on slightly older tyres in comparison to rivals? Do you pay that price, or do you just try and respond to each other, try and follow each other in? Let's see what happens there. I think Dora's in the best place in P3 to try and go for the undercut or try and react to see what other people do. But this could be very interesting. Who is the first one to pull the trigger in first, second, and third? And we know that Havlar is going for a long stint on the hard compound tyres, so he won't be pitted until later on in this Grand Prix. But yeah, so far been a good race so far. Mitchell and Billy G had a battle. Billy G just came out the pit lane, same with Mitchell and same with Matt G. So they met in the middle there on the track, and looks like Billy G wins that battle of Mitchell. But we didn't really talk about turn one that much with three abreast moment because there was so much going on there. Drivers constantly changed positions, and Havlar, the half runner, came out on top of it, which was very crucial for him not to be stopped. But I think Mr. Wiggles is going for a move there on Probelli. No, he's not. I saw the gap go down towards 2/10 to a few hundreds, but he doesn't make the move going down into turn one. Then he goes out wide into turn three. Is this going to allow the Red Bull to come through? No, because the Alpine slaps his car in the middle of the road, not allowing the Red Bull to go through.
Yeah, and you do see that sometimes from Mr. Wiggles when he's in danger. He just parks his car all over the place for the guy to not make that overtake right behind him. I do have to admire in Mr. Wiggles, you know, balls of steel is the type of driving style that I love to see here from the guys. Obviously, we don't crash anyone out. Billy G now making an overtake on Mitchell. He's going down the inside and taking the inside line. Look at that move from Billy G. Is he going to keep the position? Doesn't look like it. Goes up to the curb a little bit too aggressively. Mitchell still sticking it down the inside in turn 6 as they're heading into turn 7 later on, and Billy G takes the position. Beautiful overtake from the Red Bull driver there. Stiank right up the tail of Origilas. 14 lap old medium tires. We're gonna have to see him come into the pits pretty soon, and the guys at the front of the pack are coming into the pits, and it seems like none of them are gonna make an overcut work. Halvor on the hard tires, he's going to stay out, obviously. He's going to stretch those till around lap 20 maybe. The guys on the medium tires managed to get the mediums work for about 15 to 16 laps, as Doran is going to be the first one to come out on pits, out of the pits. I think he might be. No, it's going to be Mr. Wiggles ahead of him, and then of course Burley in P2 as Mitrandir. Oh, Mitrandir is going to play a big role there for the Haas team, as he might be able to let his very own teammate go through and then hold up Mr. Wiggles and Doran with as much time as possible. Doran finds himself in a very difficult position here as well, as he's right behind Origilas. We didn't expect that to happen, obviously, because Origilas is on the hard tires, and I didn't think he had that much pace, but that's going to be a big issue right now for the Red Bull driver.
Mr. Wiggles is going side by side there, immediately quit on the pit lane and fighting on brand new set of hard compound tyres. Remember, these hards got to warm up. It takes a bit of time for these hards to warm. You can't afford to push too hard, otherwise you'll out with the rear end. But you can see the Haas is really struggling out these slow speed corners. Is Mr. Wiggles looking to take advantage? However, this is bringing Jerry Oilglass into it. This is bringing Doran back into it because he was outside of second DRS. But Mr. Wiggles is trying to go around the outside into turn 10, tries to do a switchback, but Probelli does not outbrake himself, and he stays there as well. This has brought people back into play. There's a McLaren off the circuit, I believe. That is John Mobes, unfortunately, down at P13, judging by where he is on the track map. But Mr. Wiggles has Probelli right in his sights. Doran has got to dispatch Oilglass immediately. He can't afford to get stuck behind somebody on all the tyres and really destroy your race. And here comes Mr. Wiggles now. He's got to take the lead shortly, which he does, the net lead. He goes up into P3. Here comes the Red Bull of Doran up the inside, which he does. And I presume Jerry Oilglass, which he does, gets out of the way for his teammate, because his teammate now has joined in this three-way battle, turned into a four-way. This should be very interesting now with Matt G. But Matt G, despite the pitting early, has got to pay the consequence towards the end with a slightly bit older tyres, but it shouldn't be too much, as Doran there gets a massive slide out of turn 4, but survives. Or does he? Because Matt G takes advantage up the inside into turn 5. Lovely move from Matt G, capitalise, and now the top two, or the net top two, are in front of him. This could be a very fascinating race indeed between all these drivers. Matt G's been brought back into it because that undercut attempt has worked for him.
Let us have a quick look with the penalties here for the midfield. 3 seconds for Chris Big Bro, he just got. Then we've got Ellie with 3 seconds, Prep with 6 seconds. That's going to be a big penalty for the Kicksauber there. And Stefanico again with that 10-second time penalty. We've got a yellow flags there. That is once again another McLaren driver being Cowboy at the back of the grid. Billy G looking to make an overtake down the inside of Aurigulas, and he's going to go for it. Aggressive move into the second to last corner. And Billy G just gone for it. He thought, you know, I'm not going to be stuck behind you, Aurigulas. I'm going to go for it. Trying to change his very own teammate. Mitchell now on the tail of the Williams driver. He's going to go for it as well. Deer is wide open for Mitchell. He's going to shove it down the inside and making up a position as well. He's on those fresh hard tires, and Aurigulas has to come into the pits anytime soon. Chris Big Pro now looking to make that overtake on the Williams driver. He's gonna make the switchback work. Look at that by the Bulgarian driver. I had to think about the nationality there as he's shoving it down the inside into turn 5. A beautiful overtake by the Bulgarian driver. Let's go back to the front of the pack as Doran finds himself right behind Matt G. And what will Billy G be able to do? Will he catch up to the top 6? And that's going to be a very important pawn for the Red Bull strategy here tonight, because then you've got 2 drivers against one team with 2 drivers against 3 teams with only 1 driver. So very big opportunity there for the Red Bull team.
It is indeed, and we see the Harvard is pitting there. That's Adrien pitting for the medium compound tyres. Apologies if I do say the name wrong. I keep saying different things, but I can't get it good into my head. Here comes his Haas teammate though, Upper Belly, right to the back of Mr. Wiggles, as he will take the lead of the Grand Prix now, puts himself there. But who's that coming to the pit lane? That's Mercedes. I believe he's a back marker, which he is. That's Stank who's coming to the pit lane, has picked himself up 83 second time penalty, as he's a ghosted car. So I think these guys will have the blue flags on him, and he should let them go with ease. Can Billy G, despite being on older tyres, can he be brought back into this battle? We did see a split in the DRS train there when Mag G couldn't keep a contention, but Mr. Wiggles there is all over the back of Pirelli there. He was 1/10 behind, but the Mercedes is catching me off guard just a bit as Mag G almost makes contact with him going down into turn 5, so deep on the brakes there, and he was very lucky not to take out Mr. Wiggles, because that could have been very controversial indeed. Mr. Wiggles fully concentrates on Pirelli. Those two are going hammer along to the rest of the race, while Doran is stuck behind Mag G after making a mistake at turn 4, because he was looking contention for this battle, sits impatiently in P3 or net P3 before they pitted, and unfortunately for him, he just could not keep the car under control, and now he's got the Williams in the race. It's been very hard to overtake these guys with the same speed on the straight, essentially, with the DRS wide open. Havlar has pitted, 19 up on hard compound tyres, should be on the new medium, and we'll see where will he rejoin that pursuit. Oh, Mag G's made a mistake out of final corner. He's out wide, and he's drifted onto the gravel there. He's lost the place towards Doran. Doran is back up into P3 now. That's a very costly mistake. In the background, there's an RB going for him. That's Mitchell there. Up the inside, into turn 1. There's Carl in the air. He gets past Billy G up the inside, but gets pinched on the curb, and here comes, it's a concertina effect as the RB gets on the way now. Here comes the rebel Billy G up into the inside of P5, and Chris Big Bro is up into P6, but I'm not quite sure what happened to Mitchell. He just looked like he got bogged down at the exit of turn 2. He wasn't confident. He's got the floor. Off in the background goes Mitchell there, and he's fully in the gravel now where Rosberg and Hamilton crashed in 16, and Mitchell has retired from this race.
Yeah, he's totally done with it, and I don't know if he got affected by Stang there that ghosted Mercedes, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's as frustrating as it can get for a driver. Oh, and Mitrandir is out as well! He lost his front wing and he's in the gravel. He dropped back to P10. What happened to Mitrandir there? But yeah, as I mentioned, you know, that ghosted car is really doing a lot of damage for the guys here at the front of the pack. It's just difficult to see where your braking points is. And look at him, he's still there, and I don't get it, because he's 33 seconds behind Cowboy. There's not much he can do at this point. He just got to go to the side, let the guys go past it, and follow their DRS, because right now he's just being a pain in the ass for these guys.
Do I remember a situation as I think Chris is now up to P5. By the way, great recovery from Chris there from P18 to P5. Considering there's been no safety car, it's all been down to pure pace. I know he's got a 3-second penalty. I think he has anyway, which he does. But at the same time, you've got to admire his drives there to try and keep out of trouble and try and make his way up the field there to try and reduce the points deficit in the championship in comparison to his rivals. Although the Red Bull is trying to fight back, but Chris has the inside line, so has him covered and can do a block pass or defense block, to make sure he doesn't get him in the corner. But yeah, great drive from Chris so far up to P5. Can he gain any more? It'll be a bit difficult. Maybe on the track he can gain more, but in terms of overall position towards the end of the race, that 3-second penalty is going to carry on his shoulders. But yeah, what I wanted to mention about Ghosted Cars, do I remember something in Saudi Arabia in Div 3 when it was Propelli versus Ellie? Was it a kick Sauber in the way at the time?
That could be it. I can't really remember, if I'm being honest, but I mean it's as annoying as it gets, right? It's like you play any sports, right? Let's say you play football and there's a ghost right in front of you who's just being an asshole or being right in front of you. You don't even know where the goal is, and that's even more annoying for these guys. They got to break at the right point, and sometimes it's just really annoying. So yeah, I personally, as a league owner, or I mean somebody who gives out penalties, I would give a penalty for that and just make an announcement. Don't do this, guys. It's really annoying, and I'm pretty sure people got affected by that.
I'm pretty sure that if the back markers go past more than 3 blue flag posts, they get a penalty. But I totally agree, because I've been in league racing situations before where I've been fighting for the top of the field. There's been a ghosted car inside me, and it affects your eye line, it affects your braking point. Although he's not solid and you physically can't make contact with him, it really does distract you because it's off-putting and you can't see your braking points, you can't see the apexes either, and you might make a mistake out of one of them and slide to the corner or lose traction. But yeah, it is totally frustrating. I know how it feels. And the ghosted car thinks he's doing nothing wrong, but at the same time it really is distracting, and it could give the advantage as well, because it could really change your race. Because if, let's say for example, the ghosted car was in front of the Haas, it'll give the Haas the DRS. So here comes Mr. Wigglesworth now on Propelli. He puts himself into first place. I didn't mean to say Mr. Wigglesworth, one of my friends is called Wigglesworth, his last name anyway, as Havlar goes up into P6 ahead of Billy G. I noticed Billy G has been really struggling so far. He beat it quite early in them hard compound tyres, so maybe starting to affect him. It shouldn't too much, but we've still got 10 laps left to go in this race. That's Havlar on a brand new medium compound tyres. Watch Havlar come to the field. Let's see his pace now in comparison to the rest, as he's on the better tyres towards the latter stage in this Grand Prix. And we can see that the top 5 then once again bunched up. Chris did set the fast lap of the Grand Prix in P5. Maybe his Mercedes teammate could just drop backwards slightly and give him a slipstream and tow, a DRS down the straight to edge him closer towards the top 4. Maybe that could be possible for him.
Yeah, I think that would be the perfect strategy there for the Mercedes team, because then on the other hand, Stank is going to get the slipstream again from Big Chris Big Pro, get the DRS and all that. Here's the thing. You got to look at the ERS as well, and it seems like Burley is saving a lot. 70% right now. Mr. Wiggles has got about 70% as well. Dorn is really struggling, and he's going to lose that toe off Burley and Mr. Wiggles if both of them are going to use some ERS here. He still has the DRS right now, but he has got only 20% left, which is going to be a struggle. Little luck up there from Maggi heading into turn 1. Stink still up the toe, and we've got Halvor catching up to Chris Big Pro. Heading into turn 3, that is, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to be within that DRS, so down the second straight. We've got a DRS opportunity for Halvor, who's on 4-lap medium tires. And he's definitely going to get that P5 anyway because of the track penalties that Chris Big Pro has behind his name. And let's have a quick look. Nobody at the back of the field is right behind each other, not within 1 second at least. As Stank made that overtake again on Matt G. So he's going to be ahead of the Williams driver once again. Is he going to unlap himself and make that overtake on Doran and Burley and maybe even Mr. Wiggles? And then we've got that scenario again where he's going to be a little bit up in the ass.
A kick Sauber.
Yeah, sorry, go
it
ahead,
is
go
Prep
ahead.
1. Prep 1 spun the exit of turn 9 and he's lost his wing, unfortunately for Sauber, who has been really struggling in this race, especially with the rear end. We saw it in the early latter stages as well, and it's now definitely cost him. A pit stop may be necessary, although there's about 8 laps left to go, so there's probably no point in the pit stop, just go towards the end. But here comes Mr. Wiggles now, but I thought he took the lead of the Grand Prix, but he didn't. That's the graphic there, going up and down. And Havlar is right at the back of Chris, who's very frustrated because you can see that top 4 is right in front of him. They're right in front of him, but he can't do anything about it because the guys on the straight are carrying more speed. The only thing he can do is gain speed in the corners, but at the same time, there's 2 DRS zones around here, so he's just ever so frustrated. However, Jerry Origlass, shout out to him, by the way, in P8, did a fantastic job running a lonely race now in P8 on a brand new set of medium compound tyres, and Havlar once again applying the pressure. What I want to say about the Mercedes of Stank is he really needs to work with Chris there in P5 because there is no point of him unlapping himself. He's in the middle. Where is he right now, Stank? I can't find him in P15. There he is, in the middle of this train. He needs to drop backwards to give his teammate DRS, and there is the Sauber of Havlar looking for an overtake down at turn 10. But at the same time, if Chris gets the DRS on the back of his teammate, he might be able to protect himself against Havlar as well, so that could be the benefit. But he really needs to communicate with this with Mercedes camp if Stank is to be a team player here for the Mercedes in P5.
Yeah, you really got to look at Elliott there. Halvor now down the inside, down the straight, and he makes that overtake. And it seems like Mr. Wiggles also got the lead of the race right now, making the overtake down the straight on Burley. But what I wanted to mention is that Ellie is on the soft tires, so she might be able to catch up to Origilas there and have a battle at these last couple of laps. About 7 to 8 more laps to go here in the Spain Grand Prix. You got any guesses about who's going to win this race? I think it's just a matter of who's going to have enough ERS at the end of the race.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I reckon the man in second place, not right, well, what I want to say is, whoever's in second place towards the last stage of this Grand Prix, whoever places tactically will get the win. But what's happening here, because the ghosted cars are really struggling, that's McLaren and Cowboy, and Stank having their own battle for P14 and P15. Those two are ghosted, but they'll be solid together, as Pep 1 gets past the Hassman of Methandrol for P12. But I think now the Sauber is in DRS range of the McLaren. And he's not in DRS range of Matt G, but he'll get the benefit of the toe down the straight and he'll edge him closer. He's on the medium compound tyres, remember, so could he be contention to win this Grand Prix? Or those medium compound tyres start to suffer towards the end and therefore being a level playing field towards the Harveners there? Because see, Matt G is struggling up just a bit on those hard compound tyres. He is got 3-lap holder hard. And here comes Pirelli now for the lead of this Grand Prix. He puts himself back into first one. He could be vulnerable, you know. He goes a bit wide into turn number 1, but Mr. Wiggles can't capitalise on that one. Havlar has picked himself up 83 second. What a big contender. And here comes Mr. Wiggles down his turn number 4. When he dare to make a move, Mr. Pirelli is just slightly blitzed on the brakes there, so he doesn't go for the move as he's able to keep the lead of the Grand Prix. But he is a bit vulnerable now, being low on battery. This could really benefit Mr. Wiggles in P2.
Yeah, right now heading into lap 28 out of the 33. Still a lot of time, plenty of time for the guys to charge their batteries to put themselves in the preferred position. As it seems like Mr. Wiggles really wants to grab that lead of the race right now on the toe of the Haas driver. He's not going to throw it down the inside, I'm afraid, as there is not enough room. And you know what the thing is? There's a lot of, there is a DRS opportunity there down that straight. The straight is just not long enough. Coming out of turn 9, you just have too much straight line speed, and the straight is too short to be able to make an overtake with that DRS. I haven't seen many overtakes down that straight heading into turn 10. But on the other hand, you've got this straight where Dorian is possibly going to make that overtake on Mr. Wiggles. 10-second time penalty for Stank, who had a collision with Cowboy at the back of the field. As Cowboy now drops back to P16, 15 maybe, as there is a yellow flag. Yellow flag, virtual safety car. I don't think any of the top 5, top 6 will come into the pits. Maybe Chris Big Pro, because he's about... No, never mind. If it's turning into a full safety car, I do see the point in coming into the pits, but I don't see any points in coming into the pits when it's a virtual safety car.
So Stank and Cowboy crashed into each other in the final 2 corners. They both went off the track, and I think Stank has been disqualified. He has, maybe frustrated with the collision there. But this VSC, did it benefit Havlar? Can he get himself in the DRS? He's still somehow out of the DRS. I thought him having DRS the back of the Mercedes and the McLaren at the time would get himself in contention. The DRS is re-enabled, and we can get racing once again. And look at this, Mr. Wiggles is side by side with Probelli as we go down towards turn 10. He makes the move, puts himself into the lead of the Grand Prix, but Probelli won't fight back too hard. I think the one in second place could be the one to win, because second place, if you have the DRS on the last lap, try and use all the battery and try and overtake your rivals at the same time. But the problem is you've got to watch out for third place, because third place will try and force you to overtake first to put you in that uncomfortable place. As here we go on the straight once again. Here comes Probelli now for the lead of the race, and here comes Doran. He might get shuffled backwards twice, which he does, and he's demoted down to P3, or is he? Because he's going to run the outside, has the inside line for turn 2. But here comes Matt G around the outside into the third corner we go, on the inside line, on the racing line. Mr. Wiggles from P1 to P4 has lost it all. The advantage, the race could go between the top 2 here, but Doran goes a bit deep into turn 4 we go. Can Mr. Wiggles on better hard compound tyres fight back immediately? He has to. Around the outside into turn 5 we go. He has a better exit with better traction there, and he does. He puts himself back into P3. There is Chris and Havlar out behind too, so they finally joined in this battle. Maybe a bit too late, but we'll see. But Mr. Wiggles there overtaking Probelli at the exit of turn 10 or turn 9 was a bad idea, because it shuffled him backwards into P4. So lost 3 places, but now he's into third. Can Doran now be the one to win this Grand Prix? Remember, Mr. Wiggles and Doran are on a fight for P3. Doran hasn't got a win this season just yet. He's searching for his first win of the season. Can he get it here in Spain? He's in the best position. I thought after the pit stops, Doran was out of this battle because he was 1 second back. He was stuck behind Joey Glass, and here comes Havlar now. Or no, he doesn't, because Matt G used a bit more ERS there to try and stay here. Here comes Doran for the lead of the Grand Prix as we head towards turn 1 and turn 2. Doran takes the lead of the Grand Prix now. He finally becomes the race leader, but is that the best place to be towards the latter stages there? We'll see.
Yeah, here's the thing though. DRS wise, you gotta think strategically, because if you're in P2 heading into the last lap, which straight are you gonna make an overtake on? Is it gonna be the first start finish straight where you're most likely gonna make that overtake done, or is it gonna be in the second straight where, let's say you're in P1, you're gonna get overtaken? Possibly. I don't know for sure, but if you're in P2, where are you gonna make that move? Indigo, what would you do as a racing driver?
From a past experience, so what I did, I was in P2, I waited towards turn 10, and that was the wrong idea, because turn 9 to turn 10, not much of a straight, and you're stuck in the turbulent air coming out of turn 8 as well. So turn 1 is the best place to do it, unless you go side by side on the whole of it. For example, we saw George Russell and Max Verstappen go side by side. I think Russell just won the battle in 2022. So it all depends. If you're going to overtake him on the last lap, you've got to do it before turn 1, because you have to try to go side by side. Here comes Probelli now, like that. You got to do it on the last lap, so they can't come back at you. It's turn 2 and turn 3. Matt G's on the inside of Havlar. Remember, Havlar has got a penalty. Matt G doesn't. Matt G's on the older hard compound tyres, so he's going to get shuffled backwards. Here comes Chris now, puts himself into P5. Great recovery drive from the Mercedes driver, but remember, he does have a 3-second time penalty, so he might get dropped into 6th place with Matt G, who hasn't got a penalty. And he might go up the inside. That was a very odd move there, up the inside. The door was shut, but Chris, I think he was trying to force him into outbraking himself, but Havlar is not falling for that one. So top 3, which one of those 3 is going to win the Grand Prix? Who is in the best position towards the end? My heart would be racing here if I was one of the top 3, because you got to think wisely, you got to think strategically as well. Where is the best place to be? Second is, but at the same time you've got to focus on third. What is third going to do? Because he might force you to overtake first, because you don't want to get obviously put back into third place. So you want to stay second ideally, but at the same time keep an eye on third place to see if he's coming at you, and we'll see. That's lap 32. So Doran there, what will he do? Will he decide to overtake him down to turn 1? I think he will, because he's using the overtake. But he was using the overtake, but might have turned it off. He's used it again, so I think he's going to overtake him down to turn 1, because you won't really risk that unless you want to get closer and closer as we go towards turn 1. He stays behind, but he needs a battery on the last lap to do it. So on lap 33, he's got to save as much as battery as he can. He's using overtake in the wrong places here. He needs it all for the last lap of the Grand Prix if he wants to challenge him out on Probelli and P1 there. Over to you, Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, the more people, the more difficult it will be for an overtake, and you gotta look at everyone, because even P5 can still grab the lead of the race here, although it's very unlikely. Chris Big Pro is now putting the pressure on the tail of Mr. Wiggles as we're heading into the last sector of the penultimate lap, as it seems like Doran is still trying to stick behind Burley. And let's see if he's going to be the one making the overtake down the first straight, or will he wait till the second straight? And then we might be looking at a three-way overtake heading into turn one, because Mr. Wiggles is really up the tail of the Red Bull driver. Let's see, they're heading into the last sector. Into the last lap they go. Who will come out ahead heading into turn one? Will it be Burley? Will it be Dorn? Or will it be Mr. Wiggles? Here they come. Oh, and Mr. Wiggles grabs a 3-second time penalty. The battle will be between Burley and Dorn. It seems like Dorn is not going to go for it. Doesn't have enough ERS, shoving it down the inside. No, he's backing out of it. Burley slips. Burley slips. There goes Burley into the wall. Goes the Haas driver, and he just lost himself the race win. The race win will go to Dorn, as Mr. Wiggles will do nothing about it with that 3-second time penalty.
Oh my goodness me, that changed. I thought Doran there on the last lap used too much battery, and Mr. Big Chris Pro has tapped the back. Remember, these guys are fighting for a podium. Second, third, and fourth. Mad G will get a podium because he does not have a 3-second time penalty. So there's only one more spot for the final podium. It's Chris versus Havlar versus Mr. Wiggles on the inside. Very hard move to make a place, but he's trying to get himself on the podium, but he can't quite. As we head down towards turn 10 there. That's a big mistake, an unusual mistake there for Probelli, and he spins. Havlar's got in. Maggi's up into 4th place now. Chris unfortunately will not get a podium there because Mr. Wiggles will get 2nd place, and Maggi will get 2nd, sorry, because Mr. Wiggles gets you to 3rd. Over to you, Thomas.
Here comes Dorn around the last corner. I didn't think he was going to win it this way. Oh, the Mercedes driver loses it. Did he come across the line already? I don't think he did. Damn, he just dropped back to P4. Only 8 tenths between himself and Halvor. And Dorn, congratulations, buddy. You pulled the longest string here around Spain. What they also call it as Spain. But, I mean, Dorn, wonderful race and a little bit unlucky there for Burley. He just, yeah, he couldn't take the pressure anymore. He just dropped to P6. Still good points for the Haas team. I think he's champion anyway, so it doesn't matter too much for Burley, but I do think he wants to finish the No, wait, he can't even finish the... Wait, what did I read in the Div 2 chat? I thought the Div 3 chat. I thought someone said congratulations on the season win, but it's only round 16, isn't it? Crazy things. Let's look at the back of the grid here, as we've got Sofanico, the only one having to come into the pits with that 3-second time penalty. Apparently he served the 10 seconds already earlier when he came into the pits. But what a race this was. Indigo, what's your opinions about the race?
Oh, what a fantastic race. And Maggi, a driver I'd expect to go to the podium today, because in the first stint he was dropping out of the DRS zone and he pitted quite early to go for an undercut, which is understandable, of course, seeing that's the only option. And he put himself into a well-deserved 2nd place as well, after other people spun out as well and had their misfortunes, but barely. That must be the worst way to end the race, unfortunately, knowing you had it in your hands, because we know that Doran used a lot of battery. He was low on battery because he used a lot of it. He drained it on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, but on the final lap he couldn't use it because it was quite low, so he couldn't make the move into turn number 1. So I thought that Probelli had him covered all the way to the end of the checkered flag, but that one mistake cost him, and it gave Doran his first win of the season finally, after seeing him in P3 in the championship fighting with P2 the V-Carb, and Mr. Wiggles just further behind as well. But congratulations to Maggi, congratulations to Mr. Wiggles there. Great drive. And Chris, PAT to P4, beautiful drive, considering there hasn't been a safety car. Well, there's been a VSC, but that doesn't really help because he didn't get an advantage there because they're all carrying the same speed on the racetrack itself. But congratulations for PAT to P4 there, Chris Big Pro. And we know he's definitely got the pace, but you've got to watch out for those mistakes and making sure you don't get those qualifying bans. And the next race is in Austin next Monday as well, so I can't wait to see what happens there in Austin. And also this weekend, Formula 1 finally returns.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a Formula One watcher. I got plenty of other things to do, if I'm being honest. Like,
Are you mad?
nah, seriously. Like last season, no, the season before. I mean, not F1. Where was it that Verstappen won 21? Right, 22 was the most boring season I've ever watched, and from that point, I said, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I can't even watch the races unless I'm watching it in French. Now I'm Dutch. I'm Belgian. I speak Dutch. I'm not going to be watching races in French. It's like the English watching races in Spanish. It doesn't make any sense. It's also fucking. It's super. I can't swear on Speed Force Racing and kind of forget about that. It's super stupid. Watching a race and it's like, no, I'm not going to be looking at those races. I don't even care.
Bro, you're missing out on this season, man. You got to watch the F124 season because it's unexpected for what happened at the start of the season where Red Bull were dominating. They went on a decline. McLaren are making their way up. Ferrari are the constructors' fight with Red Bull and McLaren itself. So this season has completely changed. We've got 7 different winners. If you haven't got to, you got to watch this season back. We've had plenty of good races. The British GP, obviously, I'm going to be biased, but at the same time, it's one of the best races of the season, the British GP. Azerbaijan's up there as well. Canadian Grand Prix is up there. We've had lots of decent races so far this season, so you are missing out. And I suggest to you to watch it, my friend, because it's definitely been a show this season.
Well, I think it's time for us to finish off the live stream here. Thank you very much for everyone who has listened to the live stream, and congratulations to anyone who has scored points here tonight. Been a fantastic race. Probably, I'm going to be honest with you, one of the best commentary streams, races I've ever had. I'm very lucky to have you as my co-commentator, Indigo. Not to misunderstand, Steve, if you're watching, you're also an excellent co-commentator. I just love doing commentary with somebody else better than doing it by myself. But I feel everyone has the same feeling about that. Indigo, I would like to thank you very much for being co-commentator with me tonight. I hope I'm going to be able to see you in the future again. But yeah, thank you very much. And anything else to say?
Thank you, Val, mate. And also, this is mine and Thomas's first time ever commentate with each other. You wouldn't have thought of that, considering the way we work together as well. So that was a fantastic, one of the best races I've seen so far in Div 3 this season. I know it's easy to say it'd be my first time, but I do watch the streams, trust me, but maybe not all of it. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this race. The energy as well. I've really enjoyed commentating for Div 3. It's been amazing. Thank you guys for having me as well. And Thomas, it's finally come together, me and you trying to finally work together, and it's happened today, so I'm really happy about that. Our first time commentating, and it went well. I'm really happy about it too.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, you dropped in my DMs yesterday evening saying, yo, can we co-commentate? I said, sure, buddy. I mean, what else? I mean, it's just so lovely having a co-commentator. Like, you don't have to talk all the time. You have someone to talk to, which is also a big struggle as a solo commentator. Like, sometimes I'm even talking to myself, having a conversation with myself. It's so silly. But yeah, thank you very much, Indigo. I really appreciate the co-commentary, and I would like to thank you very much for watching this live stream. Hopefully you guys are happy with it, with us as a a commentary duo. I saw there was 15 drivers, 15 watchers at some point during the live stream, which is lovely to see. And all I can say is thank you very much, and I'll see you another time. My name is Phoebe Thomas. I was together with Indigo tonight, and this was Season 16, round 16 of the Spain Grand Prix. See you next time, and peace out.